Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Spiff. This is going to be another One Piece discussion video. Today I'm going to be talking about the worst generation and what I think is going to happen with these characters. I will be excluding Blackbeard, Law, Zoro, and Luffy, as I am going to be making a video about those characters later, since that's a whole nother conversation. Today I'm just going to be talking about the Mad Monk, Jewelry Bonnie, Hawkins, Kid, Killer, Beige, Drake, and Apu. The reason I wanted to talk about all these characters right now is I think the Wano arc is going to be a huge arc for the worst generation. I think this is the arc where the worst generation is truly going to come in to the story, really, and really assert their place in the new world. Now, I've had several theories on a couple of the members of the worst generation, and as we learn more, obviously, those change. So, since we don't have too much information on some of these guys, I'm kind of just going, off what I've talked with other people and the little we've seen in the manga and anime. Now, I do want to start off with Apu, because Apu, we know he's working for Kaido, and we know he was part of the Kid and Hawkins alliance. So there's kind of a lot of controversy going on between this character. Was he loyal to the alliance, and now he's kind of just doing whatever for Kaido for whatever reason, or was he working for Kaido from the beginning and he wanted to kind of spy on this Hawkins Kid alliance? Apu, I've always liked Apu because I like Brook so much, and I've always thought that Brook and Apu are going to kind of show down, and that really, I feel that more than ever now in the Wano arc, I think this is going to be who Brook fights, because Brook and Apu are both music-based abilities. We know that Brook traveled with during the time skip, he was with people from the Long Arm tribe. His managers or whatever was from the Long Arm tribe, so he has ties with them, and he's a musically based enemy. So I always thought that Apu and Brook would battle it out, but never really could piece together where they would fight. Like in what situation would Apu and Brook be facing off against each other? And then when we found out that Apu was working for Kaido, I was like, oh my gosh, what a perfect opportunity for them to fight. Now that the Straw Hats are in Wano, they're all there. Brook is there, and I'm assuming Apu is there since he works for Kaido in some way. So I do think that at some point in this arc, Apu will fight Brook, and that's how he will kind of be defeated. But his role before that, I think, is gonna be kind of. I think Apu, Oda's gonna kind of use him as a way of really kind of showing us what Kid's alliance is capable of doing, kind of showing us Kid's crew and Hawkins' crew, because I think once Kid gets out of prison, with Luffy, once they break out, he's going to be angry. He's going to want revenge on Apu for betraying him. So I think Apu is going to be kind of one of the first targets of Kid when he gets out of prison, and I think Kid and Luffy will kind of form some kind of temporary alliance. And when they go after Apu, I think Brook will be the one to deal with Apu. I think, you know, Brook will do a whole leave it to me, you guys go, I'll handle this kind of thing. And I think he will fight and defeat Apu, which will be such a hype fight because, they both have like music powers, and to see, whose powers do what, it'll be a really to see. So I think that for the most part is where Apu's role in all of this will end up and come to an end. Next is X Drake. Now X Drake was the son of the pirates that found the Opie fruit and were gonna sell it, and then his father ended up dying, and Drake. It's kind of hard to keep up because when we first kind of met Drake and saw what he was doing, he was going through the New World looking for Kaido. We know he used to be in the Marines, and he knows a lot about a lot of these science projects that are going on. So and now he's with Kaido, so he probably knows more about these Smile Devil fruits. But when we first saw him, he attacked one of Kaido's islands and one of Kaido's subordinates, and then somehow ended up becoming a subordinate himself. I'm thinking maybe he ended up finding Kaido, and maybe he challenged Kaido, and Kaido beat him. But Kaido loves getting people to join his crew, especially a zone. Devil Fruit user, an ancient zone at that. I'd imagine Kaido, all drunk, was like, join my crew and I'll forgive you. And Drake kind of was like, well, I don't want to die here, so yeah, I'll join you. But I think he is still secretly plotting against Kaido. It would just make sense, You don't just Kaido was dealing with Doflamingo, and Doflamingo ended up killing his parents, so I'd imagine there's some resentment there with Drake and Kaido. So I think he will also join this huge worst generation alliance that'll bring down Kaido. I think they will. The worst generation will be the ones to deliver the final blow to Kaido. So I think Drake will be on the Luffy and Kid side of this conflict, opposed to Apu, which I think will be on the losing side of the conflict. I think he will stay with Kaido and kind of go down with that ship. And I think X Drake will play a big role in that. I do not think he will stay loyal to Kaido. He will betray him to bring him down. I think he might have tried to bring him down once already and failed, and that's why he's working for Kaido. Next is Beige, and Beige is one of the worst generation that we know the most about now, because we saw a bunch of him in Big Mom. We saw what he was after, what kind of person he was, a little bit of his backstory. We know he was this mobster, and he's trying to bring down other mob bosses, which would make sense, for him to show up. It's not, I think, because I think he's still after Big Mom. He didn't go through all that trouble to assassinate Big Mom just to turn tail and run, and leave Big Mom alive. And he probably knows that Big Mom is on her way to Wano, so he's probably following her, hoping to bring her down another way. So I do think we will see Beige again in Wano. I think it'll be more of a comedic role he'll play. I do think he will. He's obviously got a lot of power. We've seen all of his abilities and his crew now, so we see, he's not to be taken lightly. But in comparison to the four emperors, he's just not. He doesn't have it. So I do think we'll see him. I do think he'll still be part of the conflict, and I do think he will still be pursuing Big Mom. But I do think that the scenes we see in Wano from him will be more of like a comedic value, and just kind of like something to annoy Big Mom, an annoyance to Big Mom while she fights Kaido, and ultimately I think she'll lose. Killer. Now, Killer has to be in or around Wano. We know he's loyal to Kid, and his captain is locked up in prison. We don't know what happened after the confrontation with Kaido, but everyone else seemed to make it out of that confrontation. I'd imagine he did too. And I think that he might be working to maybe free Kid, and that's how he will stumble across the Straw Hats, and they'll say, hey, your captain's in there, my captain's in there, perhaps we should work together, let's get our captains out, let's take down Kaido, and then we can settle the beef between us. Because I do think ultimately he will end up facing Zoro at some point in time. Everybody's think, it's just been set up that way for us to believe that he's going to one day face with Zoro. But for now, here in Wano, I'd imagine Oda has him trying to find a way to free Captain Kidd, and since Captain Kidd has been captured in the prison for a while now, I'd imagine at this point he has gathered some intel on the prison and just on the Wano country, and and I think that information will be an asset to the Straw Hats moving forward. The Kid's been here for a while doing like information gathering and stuff. So and plus, from what we've seen, Kid is just an amazing fighter. I guess you could call him a swordsman. He uses those hook blades and stuff, but I think he'll fight with the samurai here. He'll see Zoro kind of rallying the samurai, and he'll kind of join that force and work towards whatever goal the samurai are given, until he can reunite with his captain and they can formulate a new plan. So I don't think I do think that'll happen soon. I think we will see Kid in the next maybe 4 chapters. We don't know too much about him or his abilities to really say what he can do or what he will do, but I do think he will team up with the samurai here, and I think the samurai ultimately will be fighting against the shogun. So I do think Killer will play some kind of role in the battle versus the shogun. Now Hawkins is, in terms of the worst generation I'll be talking about today. Hawkins is, I think, one of the most interesting of all of them because of just his role and his abilities. Now, he has the ability to make voodoo dolls, and we can see in and I apologize if I pronounce this wrong, this Sabodi Archipelago or whatever, the Saboni arc, we saw him use voodoo dolls. And I don't know too much about voodoo dolls, but I did notice that the voodoo dolls he had created had different colors of straw wrapped around them. And I know that voodoo dolls, depending on the color, represents sort of the effect or the spirit of the doll. For example, red represents love, attraction, or power, and green represents growth, wealth, money, fertility. Purple represents spiritual realm, wisdom, and psychic exploration. And I think that Hawkins' ability can maybe the color of the voodoos have like a different effect. Like maybe he makes like a red voodoo to steal someone's power, or he'll steal or he'll create a purple voodoo from someone's soul to steal their spirit and their wisdom, and black maybe to steal their energy, and maybe steal their life force. So I do think that we're going to see that kind of thing. I think Hawkins is going to play a huge role in bringing down Kaido, because I think Hawkins is either going to make voodoos from Kaido's crew, or he's going to kind of team up with Luffy essentially to kind of give Luffy more lives, because we've seen that Kaido can one-hit Luffy right now. One hit. So unless there's a huge training arc or something, I don't see how Luffy's just going to go toe-to-toe with Kaido, in such a short period of time. Luffy is going to need all sorts of different kinds of backup, and I think this is going to be one of them. I think Hawkins is going to maybe kind of give Luffy 9 lives, so when Luffy fights fights Kaido, Kaido will be doing all these huge attacks to Luffy, and Luffy will kind of how Luffy used Moria's ability against him when Luffy stole the shadows and became super strong. I think Hawkins is gonna kind of give Luffy these like lives, so every time Kaido hits him with one of these crazy attacks, Luffy's able to survive it. So I do think, because I don't think Hawkins is working for Kaido voluntarily. I think he was forced into working for him, and once he sees how big of a threat the rest of the worst generation are becoming to Kaido, I think he's going to switch sides, and I do think he's going to be on the side of the Straw Hats, and his ability is going to play a huge role in the battle against Kaido and Kaido's crew. So that's that, and his ability is the straw fruit. So I do think that maybe he might have a role to play later in the series too, considering we know that now there is something huge about the Straw Hat. Something we don't know. We saw in that chapter in the Reverie, that little Reverie arc they had, that clearly Straw Hats have some kind of significance to the overall story. So I guess we'll wait to see what we got on that, but I do think Hawkins is going to play a role in all of that. Now, Jewelry Bonnie. I'm going to get a lot more into Jewelry Bonnie in a later video, but I think Jewelry Bonnie is humongously important to the story, more than we know. We've seen when she was talking to Akainu that clearly she has some kind of connection to the government. Even to the point where Akainu was like, oh, it gave me chills when I found out that you were missing. And we know that Akainu kind of deals with the high ups, so he knows things, and she clearly survived that that encounter with Akainu. So for Akainu not to kill her, she must be very, very important. And obviously her ability can change people's age, which a lot of people are speculating that she's keeping the Gorosei alive, and whoever the guy the Gorosei are bowing to, that they were using her ability to stay young. And I am actually a firm believer in this theory. I think they are using her to keep them alive, and she just had enough and run away, and then it kind of brought her back. But then once again we saw her not so many chapters ago. She is once again out. So how did that happen? I don't know, but I do think she's gonna play a huge role in the things to come. Maybe not necessarily the Wano arc, but I do believe that the Wano arc is the opening battle to a war which will go on for two more arcs after this, which I'm going to explain in another video. I think that there's going to be a battle between Shanks, Blackbeard, Luffy, and the Marines after the Wano arc, and I think that's where Jewelry Bonnie will kind of come into this whole mix. I think that wherever it does take place, it's going to take place in a place where Bonnie has business in, and people are going to know who she is, because she's now dealing with, people like Blackbeard knows who she is. He captured her. The Marines know who she is. They captured her, so I think it would make more sense for her to appear there, where she'll be amongst characters who know who she is, what she's capable of, and why she's there. So I do think that she has a huge role to play, just not in Wano. I don't think she will participate in either side of the battle in Wano. Now, Mad Monk, this guy's a beast. We know he took down one of Big Mom's commanders, which right there proves that I overestimated him, because I never would have guessed that he was Yonko commander level, but apparently, his whole retribution ability is very, very insane. I do think he will participate in this whole Wano battle, seeing as he knew Kaido, and you know, I think Kaido kind of wants Mad Monk around. I think Kaido did ask Mad Monk to be part of his crew. Maybe Kaido was amazed by Mad Monk's retribution ability, since Kaido's obsessed with killing himself. Maybe he thinks that he can use Mad Monk's retribution ability to do so. But Mad Monk, I do think he's going to team up with Kaido. I think he is going to find himself on the losing end of this conflict, and that would just kind of tie into Big Mom coming to Wano, because obviously Big Mom and Urouge have some bad blood, so that'll kind of be one of the characters that'll fight Big Mom with Kaido. Mad Monk will team up with Kaido and they'll fight Big Mom, since they all have a reason to be fighting. Which, if you go to my previous video, you'll understand, that I think Kaido will defeat Big Mom, and I think Mad Monk will have a role to play, since Mad Monk has faced off against Big Mom's commanders before. Anyways, like I said, I think Wano is going to be the shining arc for the worst generation. I think most, if not all of them, will be there, and they will all play a huge role in the ending of this story. I think the worst generation are going to become the main players of the new world, so to speak, by the end of this arc. I think it'll be the new generation and Shibukai will all be battling for power in the new world. So let me know, what you thought about this video. Comment below. Let me know if you agree with me. If you don't, let me know what you think. If there's something I may have missed. If you have something that goes along with what I might have said. Either way, just let me know what you think in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more.